Thank you for having me here. It's really nice, and thank you for the care of all of your team and also the technician here who is making my presentation run for this wonderful job you are doing here and taking so wonderful care also of us speakers. It was really very well prepared. I'm very amazed by this. I'm here to talk a little bit about my work at ZKM. I chose a case study to illustrate it a little bit, and I hope it is complex enough to bring all the topics we heard here over the last days together. I'm standing here alone, but of course working on media art installation is not a job for one person, as Bela just said. I'm working in a huge team called Múzeum and Exhibition Technical Services. This team mainly takes care of the exhibition setup and maintenance in ZKM, which is a museum of 40,000 square meters of exhibition space, about more than 25 special exhibitions each year. And the work also includes taking care of new acquisitions and the works that are going on loan. The team I'm working in is about 20 people, who you see here. Who you now might miss on the picture are people like Dorcas or Livia, who you just saw, the curators and also the Institute for Antiquated Video Systems. They have their own departments. This is the one I'm a member of. It includes computer scientists, electronic engineers, the people coordinating the setup of the exhibition architecture, the people coordinating us as exhibition and technical services during the setup of the exhibition. It includes 3 conservators. The people you are seeing here is the team of 2014 and 15. I didn't have any new pictures, so the conservators partly changed because they are on short-term contracts mainly, except me. Who you are seeing here, who worked also on the development on Infinity Engine, are the technical coordinators. There's not a... there it is. There is Anne Deuper, who is art historian and architect from her studies, and Henrike Mall, who is also a conservator, which makes my life much more easy during exhibition setups. It also includes the people who take care of the maintenance and do exhibition service, how we call it. They are working inside the exhibition space and making all the interactive artworks who are breaking down, need troubleshooting, new setup, they repair it. It's 2 people every day who are just doing this on every presentation day. Of course, as I said, this is just my team. Realizing exhibitions, communicating them, writing publication, or even also running a museum, running the facility takes much more people, which I can't all name here, but who also provided me with material for the documentation of the artwork and also for this presentation. I got this picture from our publication department. This is the exhibition Civic Radar, which was shown in ZKM from 2014 to 2015. Since then, it traveled, and also the installation I am showing traveled as well and changed from venue to venue. In this exhibition, we worked closely with Lynn Hirschman herself. She was closely working with our curator Linnea Semmerling at that time, and also did a lot of decision it's about the exhibition architecture, so the dark lighting, the dark atmosphere, the mirrored wall, which you see here, is part of her concept for this exhibition. But not too many details. Let's go to the installation I want to speak about, and our department for oh man, what's the English name again for Bildmedien Institute? Help me. Visual media. That's it. Thank you. Yeah, they are filming exhibitions, setups, special exhibitions. Use the opportunity when the artist is there to make a short clip, also to communicate the exhibition on the website, and also documents all our conferences. So that's the reason why I have this without asking for it. No. Please. Probably I have to. Yeah.
What's happening in biological scientific research is one of the key issues of our time. How we'll survive, how we'll mutate, what is going to be the effects of pollution. So to me it was really an exciting topic and idea to present. This is the first time I'm showing many pieces which are at the ZKM, and the Infinity Engine is the latest project, which is a cinematic replication of a genetics lab, which features a printed nose that was printed for me by somebody at Wake Forest, North Carolina, School of Regenerative Medicine, wallpaper that shows some of the mutations that have happened since 2006, since the genome was programmed, glowfish, mutant fish that glow in the dark, a scanning station that takes people's face and reverse engineers it, facial recognition, so that you can define the kind of origins of a person, and then some video clips that talk about elements of science.
We simply layer the tissues in the right positions architecturally. The cells then execute on their native programming to finish the job.
There are really no limits to the kinds of things that you can approach with the technology. You just need inputs, and inputs for us are simply cells. It gives us an advantage because we can build things outside of the body.
So what you saw here was a little walk through the Infinity Engine, the installation, also following the path the visitor should take, including those heavy doors opening and falling. The Infinity Engine in the exhibition space is here. There is the door. Next to it, a bold screen, and here a wallpaper as outside decoration of this installation. What strikes me about the work of Lynn Hirschman is that she, on the one hand, one of her issues is identity, our life in our society, and she's always staying up to date with the media she uses. And also her gain is to communicate this and make people aware of the world we are living in, and kind of trying to realize a atmosphere where the normal people, whereas she says for her, we are all a community. It's not separated between scientists and the audience of an exhibition. That everybody can get a glimpse behind the curtain if it's not possible in their daily life. which he also tries with Infinity Engine. This is a floor plan of the installation done by our technical coordinator, and I want to give you a little run through the installation first, tell you the details, the media, the way it was preserved before going further. So the entrance, I'm sorry for getting this. The entrance is here. There you enter the hallway. This is the blue atmospheric room which seemed a little bit dark. We have 2 projections. The films showing also outside the installation are in HD and either shown on screens or projected. The projections should fill the wall. The media is stored in our media department as a media archive. Then the visitor goes further past this cupboard, which was made during the setup of the installation spontaneously because it was needed. And then you go further into the hybrid room where you have a wallpaper which is printed. As well as the wallpaper outside, we have a large TIFF in RGB color to have a media-independent storage form, which is saved on our servers and on a disk station. The data for the wallpapers was given to us in different formats and also changed to get a good printout. Inside the hybrid room, you also have an aquarium with fish. It's genetically modified glowfish. We had to set up a lab situation for this. We had biology students taking care of the fish every day a week because the fish wants to eat. And our curators and the technical coordinator were in close contact with the public veterinary office for this, and that was also a point where I was invited into the discussion to make sure that a fish does not harm the other environment and is not a threat to other artworks. We go further. There is the 3D printed nose, which is in perspex. This is a real object. Even though it is perspex, it's probably more. It's probably long-lasting. Then this is the room where the files are. The files were not. The visitors were not able to have a look at the files themselves. On the edge, on the walls, there were some copies which were stick to the walls, and like this, the files were made available to the public. Here is the capture room showing this part of the installation where the picture is taken and the genetic code was interpreted by a web page which was not provided by the artist herself but from another source. And next to it on the wall there's another screen showing pictures which are randomly moved. This is done by a Java. This is a program running in a JavaScript browser. Actually, it should have used the picture which was taken at the moment to show the visitor the connection between now, here, this interpretation, and his connection also to the other people who had been examined in this way. But afraid of some legal problems and taking picture of people without informing them, we prepared this with pictures in advance which were then moved, and this didn't change as intended, but in the end it was a fine solution to make this work run and to show it. The last room before leaving this installation is a screening room. These are films from scientists, which Lynn Hirschman herself shot, documentary films, interviewing scientists about their approach and what they do in biology, science. A very high projection. She wanted to have it projected really high so that you don't see the shadows of the people. And it is also shown by, it is shown by a computer which uses a random generator to have a random movie shown each time. And when you leave then the exhibition space, you find another screen with another movie. Before entering the installation, the film is more like a commercial, and when you exit the installation, the film is more like a lecture. It's like you as a visitor have gained more knowledge and can now go further with a deeper understanding of genetical science, and then that you are prepared to get this information from this lecture, which is really profound. When creating this installation, Lynn Hirschman already had the idea. The concept was already written down and named on her web page, but the installation hasn't been realized before. Anyway, her visual and aesthetics and the pictures, they were all there. This was material she could provide right away. Also, the printed nose was there. What was not there was a real floor plan, even though she had this this idea of having an inside and outside. This was really clear. She had the names of the room and was talking to Linnea Semmerling about this hybrid room and the ethics room, the screening room and the hallway. And she as a curator said that she really had problems understanding what she meant, because it was Lynn Hirschman who knew what she wants to do, and then communicating it to the curator, who was talking to our technical coordinator how to put it into reality. There was really a gap to bridge, a real huge gap between the idea and the space. The working process which was there in realizing this installation, I tried to give it an approach with this kind of model. You see the artist speaking to our curator, to Linnea, she communicating the needs to our technical coordinator, Anne Deuper, Henrike Mall. They are checking materialities, techniques, the space, whether everything is realizable by the technicians. If we need further information, giving those needs back to the curator, who sometimes is also rechecking, also with the public veterinary department, and then communicating it back to Lynn Hirschman. This is a process which took more than a month, I guess, and had a lot of back and forth. Also, the position inside the exhibition space, of course, changed, because at the same time as this installation was discussed and realized, a whole exhibition had to be put into the exhibition space of ZKM. And somewhere in this little bubble, I'm also inside. Creating this slide, I was also thinking, what is now in the middle of this circle? And this is something that also describes the work at ZKM very good, and the work with the professions. It's always the artwork which stands in the focus of everybody. So the feasibility, it's not about feasibility, but it's always about the artwork, and that's also one of the qualities we have. We have a lot of possibilities in realizing art. That's what often money is given for, and also for the artistic freedom. And that's also what the people are dedicated to, the artworks. And that's also something I can say about my close colleagues. So I'm the one with the conservation this didactic approach. I have the education as a conservator, but the other ones are so dedicated and so well trained over the years in working with art that they really know what to do, how to understand an artist, and how to set the artwork into reality. And that's what we are cooperating with the artist about. And I think that's something that really makes also the artist really like working with us because of this attitude. So during the exhibition, or in the end of the exhibition, it became clear that we are getting this work as a donation from Lynn Hirschman, and then it's my job to make sure that the documentation is made correctly. So there's where I come into play, and talking to all the people who worked on the realization of this project. I can't do this for every artwork realized at ZKM. That would be wonderful. But as soon as I know that an artwork is purchased, I try to step into the process and find out what happened and get all information needed and probably fill the gaps. What Yolanda also named as the first step, where I was not sure if I should name it like that, defining the parts, but in the end it's really important, even especially for complex installation, defining what is the artwork, where starts the artwork. And for me also the atmosphere created, which is a very subjective notion, is also part of the artwork and should also be communicated and documented inside a documentation. The artwork setting, collecting information from different professionals. When collecting the information, I can also collect those floor plans drawn by the colleagues, and what I didn't say, and also ask the colleagues from the computer science what they did with the computers, because when it's running, we are not always doing a backup during exhibition or for the exhibition, but as soon as it is clear that we are purchasing an artwork, we have the computer itself, we have a backup on our server, we have a separate disk station where a backup and the mirror image, which is made by Mozilla, via Mozilla, an open source software, which are then saved for us for future use. And I can also find out which information are already communicated between artist and technician, what the problems were during setup. We had some big screens which were backside projected, and Lynn Hirschman didn't like that the projection didn't go all the way to the ground. But for a big projection, you really need to have a frame for the screen to be stretched. Those are the small and tiny information which I also tried to collect, or that the ratio of the films had to be altered due to the size of the wall, because it was really important to her that the film fit the size of the wall, and it was less important that the ratio was a little bit distorted, people were a little bit too huge, the hallway was a little bit too bold. And then it's also, after talking to all my colleagues, going down and finding a moment when the exhibition ended to cut out some reference material from the wallpapers. I also need to find the missing information and close this information gap. This can often be done with the artist interview. In this case, we were parallelly doing the publication to the exhibition. So I was talking to the curators, and they were really hesitant about me doing an extensive artist interview because they needed Lynn Hirschman to finish the book. So I prepared a questionnaire, also in cooperation with Linnea to find out if all questions are okay for her, if I missed something, and then send it to her and got back as an answer a lot of yes and no, even though I thought I asked open questions. So it was inevitable to also talk to her and find out about her approach towards the artwork in open questions. But at the same time, I'm also always concerned about the next setup. How can we make such a complex installation like this possible without Lynn Hirschman, or if future changes come, what shall we do? And for me, it's always important to find out what the core of the artwork is to the artist. It can be ephemeral, as I told to you, this connection of all people, this not being separated, and this kind of getting aware of common knowledge. She doesn't want to teach, she wants to raise awareness in some points, I guess. That is one of the main points in this installation, and how can we provide this within architecture as well? I think that's also one of the issues. You will see that the architecture changed drastically over the next exhibition periods. And then I tried to find out and define for myself where the freedom lies, and also try to discuss this question afterwards without naming too much the issue of obsolescence, because this is not a good question to ask from my point of view. It can really break down the communication. Making the documentation available in those sources that people needed. The setup manual, we saw already this example in the workshop here. We have a wiki, which is used for by our technical staff to communicate also troubleshooting manuals and to make them available online as well, which is a very old tool. Right now we are developing new databases and putting it there. I have short time, so I will skip this point probably and show you the other versions of Lynn Hirschman's Infinity Engine to show the variety of this installation and how it changed over time, and why another artist interview might be necessary soon to know how the installation changes and what we have. This is a version during the planning. You see another form of the hallway, more in smaller rooms. And when I was talking to Lynn Hirschman and the variability, one of her answers were, look at the exhibition in Oxford. I'm very happy with this. So this exhibition took place a few months later. The rooms are more open. You don't have this long corridor anymore, but rooms where you can go through like a labyrinth, and also the syringe poster is not outside anymore, but a little bit more inside. The rooms are more open, and this plastic nose went into the same room as the hybrid room by some means. The latest version shown was in the Yerba Buena Center for Arts. It is on display right now as well. And here you have a very, very open room. You see the cases with information are open and in the same room as the fish tank, where you have real glowfish right now and not this genetically modified lab fish we had to provide, because glowfish are a product which is not available in Europe or Germany. And this hallway also became broader and you can move more easily. I'm sorry, I have to take 5 minutes extra, I guess. I wanted also to say something about my approach as a restorer in ZKM, working with art which is in prose, which is also generated, which is often modified, working close to an artist. So we have this really useful and important ethical values like originality, authenticity, integrity, and things we can document in materiality. We can measure a lot. We can do natural science research on material aging, etc. And in contemporary art, we have some new approaches, some new possibilities in exploring what the artist's intent is. We need other forms of documentation, other kinds of setup manuals, another awareness of the specificness and the long-term function has got a really other meaning than in the classical forms of art. Therefore, we also have other qualities we have to speak about. The variability of the artworks we have is there, and that's something that came along in nearly every presentation I saw, that that we are already aware of this variability, but we didn't really put it into our concepts yet, and probably I think we should use this with more awareness and define this. Where lies the variability? Where lies our freedom in working with the artwork? And this is, as promised, an empty page, and I thought that after hearing and talking and working so much with it, everybody of us has its own definition of what can be changed in an artwork. Where lies the potential of change, not only in our conservation practice, but probably also what possibilities of change are there in the nature of the artwork we are dealing with. Let me show you now a variety of the pictures from the different venues of one and the same artwork, which was presented and started in 2014. It's the first row. And now, after 1.5 years of traveling, in the last row, I have the impression that the atmosphere stayed the same. The fact that the pictorial language already existed gave it the handwriting of Lynn Hirschman, which is not lost, which is still there, even though the rooms changed and probably also in future media might change, but and overall, it might be able to be constructed. Some parts even got lost, which we, as a conservator, could probably be happy about, because this internet-based face recognition part got lost very soon. And some other came, like that the public can now access the data, and some new iPads, which you see down here, were added, where the people themselves can choose the films. I'm not sure if this was an impact of my questions towards Lynn Hirschman or our request concerning the data from the computer. In overall, as I said, the artist, I should contact the artist soon, because I have the impression that now, after this time of development, the artwork got another shape which might maybe better fit her intent, and we'll see what we do with our version afterwards. Thank you very much.
Thank you.